Pope Francis has made his first public appearance at the Vatican since being discharged from hospital. He surprised people at St. Peter's Square by turning up unannounced at the end of a mass for the sick. Francis is recovering from a lengthy stay in a hospital where he was treated for life-threatening pneumonia. The Pope spoke briefly to the crowd, wishing everyone a good Sunday.
Buona domenica a tutti. Grazie tante.
Let's get more on this now from journalist Seema Gupta in Rome. So how did the surprise appearance come about?
Well, it was definitely a surprise. It was completely unannounced. There was a suggestion that something about the Angelus this Sunday would be different as compared to previous Sundays. We know that since the Pope has been hospitalized, they've released what he intends to say. It's the Angelus blessing written by the Pope, but it's a written document and he's never there. So this really came as a huge surprise. The crowd that had gathered there at St. Peter's Square cheering loudly. Now, his voice still weak, but definitely appeared to be stronger as compared to his last appearance on the 23rd of March, when the day that he was released from Rome's Gemelli Hospital. Perhaps the decision was made at the last minute for him to make this appearance because of the glorious spring weather that we're having here on this Sunday here in Rome. And so he felt comfortable enough to come out and, of course, thanked everyone there and wished everyone a happy Sunday. It was also interesting to note that his arms, he seemed to be moving with a little bit more ease as compared to in the past, but we definitely also saw him using those nasal tubes, those tubes under his nose to help him to breathe. So first time in 2 weeks since he was discharged, and the first time since the 9th of February when he was last seen in St. Peter's Square. So definitely for the faithful, a very significant moment.
As you mentioned there, all eyes are on the Pope regarding his health. So what more do we know about how he is recovering since he's been released from a hospital?
Well, the Vatican has been giving us, the journalists, briefings twice a week to inform us about how he's progressing. They say in general that there has been a slight improvement every time. The last briefing on Friday said that there were improvements. Even his blood tests show slight improvements and that the Pope is in good spirits. Now, it really remains to be seen or how things go from here, but they did prescribe, the doctors prescribed 2 months, and we're only 2 weeks into those 2 months of complete rest and recuperation. Of course, the Pope is known to be doing a little bit of work as he continues with his physical and respiratory therapies, but all commitments have been cancelled or not continuing. For example, Britain's King Charles is supposed to be in Rome next week. He was supposed to meet the Pope, but that meeting has been cancelled because they want to give the time for the Pope to rest. And of course, it remains unsure at the moment as to how much he will be able to participate in Easter. That's only 2 weeks away on April 20th. We'll have to see whether the Pope can be. They said it's still too early to say whether he can and will be able to participate in those. Of course, a very important date in the Catholic calendar.
All right, that was journalist Seema Gupta in Rome. Thank you very much for your reporting.